Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Movie News here at MB. I nearly said it again, John. Movie Burner News. Back in the day, all black and white and all that. But as you can hear, I am joined as always with John C. Walsh.
Yes.
We've got a few things we'd like to talk about.
And your
Not
camera
too much.
is doing my napper in, Stephen. I have OCD and it is off in a slant.
Yeah, that's okay.
Can't sort it now, you're screwed.
I'll position myself in a
I'm
slant.
going to move this
But,
right down, it's destroying me.
We're not DCing it tonight. Well, we are slightly
No.
for one topic. But last night's show, I think we covered everything that we could that's going to be happening in the next
Yes, the
7
world
days,
of
John,
DC,
anyway.
yes.
But we're going to kick on with the show. We're going to talk about that thumbnail and that headline, why Laurence Fishburne won't appear in The Matrix 4. This is something, John, just before I read part of this article, it comes in from Cinema Blend.
Yes.
It's something that's not really been talked about that much. It
No.
was such a pivotal character, and a pivotal role.
He was the main man.
Yeah, it was one of the
Bit
big
with Neo.
three, you
Yeah.
know, and we obviously know the other two are coming back, Carrie-Anne Moss and obviously Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
But it just doesn't feel right without the big man there, But it says in this article, it says, so what is the deal? Can we
He is a big
expect
man.
Laurence Fishburne to take part in Matrix 4? Judging by the actor's below comment, it doesn't sound like that's in the cards. I have not been invited. Maybe that will make me write another play. I wish them well. I hope it's great. Very
So he
short and
writes
sweet.
plays.
Well, either he's that you can read that two ways, John. He's miffed, or he doesn't want to say too much because it could be a big reveal in the film. Who knows? But Laurence Fishburne revealed his lack of involvement in The Matrix 4 while speaking with New York Magazine via The Wrap. While there's a slim chance this could be one of those instances where an actor is lying in order to keep their appearance in a movie a surprise. Going off the available information, this will be the first Matrix movie to lack Fishburne's presence, John. What's your feelings on this, John? Because I think we both love this guy. Everything he's in.
Yeah.
Obviously, we love his character as well. Big part in the first three films. What reason is there, other than, it does say in this article, that he was killed off, I think it was The Matrix Online, which was a game. It really just depends on whether the owners of the franchise regard the actual computer game as part of canon or not, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I can see, unless there's been some kind of a fallout, or the Wachowskis have got a bigger plan in store for this. I've heard that this is going to be a second trilogy for The Matrix.
Could be.
So he could appear in later episodes, if you like.
Stephen, some of the suggestions, some of the speculation coming out around this movie was that it was going to be a sort of prequel. Or I can't recall the exact terminology. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole going on about quasi-sequels and stuff like this again.
They don't have to de-age Keanu.
Yeah,
Possibly Carrie-Anne Moss.
yeah. Well, Keanu just has to put a beard on and he looks eternal. I think when he loses the beard, though, he does look a little bit older.
Yeah, he looks strange.
So, and Neo traditionally doesn't have a beard. He kind of looks like Jim Carrey did in Dumb and Dumber 2. It looks weird.
Yeah.
So I think he has to stick to the beard. Maybe we will have a bearded Neo.
Ooh.
I've not actually seen the behind-the-scenes photographs of them in a while. I recall there was a motorbike sort of scene where the two of them, Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu, were on a bike shooting some stuff. He loves to do his own sort of stunts and whatnot. This is a man who's obviously been well immersed in the world of gun training and whatnot for the John Wick franchise. So I'm sure it was him that was there. I can't recall if he had a beard, but Stephen, I'm going off on a complete tangent here anyway. There was talk that this was going to be a sort of prequel. I don't know how this sort of meshes with obviously Neo being there and was it Trinity?
Yeah.
Of that age, where they look actually slightly older than what they did in the original trilogy, and yet we have no Morpheus. I don't know how they're going to explain it, but apparently there was talk of recasting. We could see a Michael B. Jordan coming in. He always gets banded around when these roles obviously come up because he's such a talented actor.
Yeah.
But there was talk of recasting him with a slightly more younger actor. I don't know how that would work, but it would leave open the possibility of a trilogy of movies and then perhaps bringing him back in at some point in a later movie.
Am I right in thinking, I've not seen Matrix 3 or whatever it's called, Loaded, Unloaded, Revolutions.
Can't
remember, I don't care.
Reloaded in the
It
Revolutions.
was rubbish. Am I right in thinking Morpheus was the only survivor from the 3. The other 2 died, didn't they?
Stephen, I've not seen it in about 10 years.
Yeah, it's
so
the
it's
same.
Very difficult. I do recall Neo, of course, sacrificed himself, didn't he, to sort of overpower the machines and save humanity. I can't recall if Morpheus did survive or not. If he did, maybe that's why there's significance to that particular character. Maybe they have to go back and do something to him to maybe change the course of the events we've seen in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
If she's speaking about doing a trilogy, Lana Wachowski, perhaps that's the way you get around it. You sort of go back and change the events. We go all Terminator and do something that's going to change the course of what we've seen in the original trilogy. As we know, Stephen, first one was absolutely iconic, an amazing sort of modern day great movie. Technically, what they managed to accomplish with little to no CGI. There was some cool little camera effects and whatnot. That was a great movie. Second one was meh. It was okay. Third one was god awful. A terrible movie.
I felt
a really
it was
disappointing, lacklustre ending.
I felt it was a very bloated storyline as well, John. They were trying to deal with too much. But the Matrix...
This could solve it.
Yeah, well, the Matrix 4 will also see Jada Pinkett Smith and Lambert Wilson reprising Niobe, and is it Mervingen or something like that? I can't remember his character's name. In addition to Yahya Abdul Mateen II, other actors who've been cast in yet to be officially revealed roles include Neil Patrick Harris, Jessica Henwick, Priyanka Chopra, Jonathan Groff, Toby Unwimere, Max Remelt. There's no ordinary names in here. Andrea Ibira, Andrew Caldwell, very ordinary. Brian J. Smith and Ellen Hoffman. Lana Wachowski returned to direct
Andrew Caldwell
and co-write the script with Alexander Heeman and David Mitchell.
Steve, look, I'm really excited for Neil Patrick Harris. He has just got sort of Hugo Weaving replacement agent all over him.
Yeah,
he's got the forehead.
Well, that's what they're saying.
He's a great actor.
They're saying that he's going to be
the antagonist.
Yeah, he's going to be the antagonist. So
maybe this is a sort of precursor to Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith.
Yeah,
Agent Smith was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really excited for him. I just want to see them redeem this franchise, much like they've tried to redeem the Terminator, though it could go horribly wrong and just get worse and worse, and people are just sick and tired of it. Predator as well.
Yeah.
When you start meddling with it, it's potted with danger. There's precipices there.
High voltage.
Danger, yeah. Funnily enough, that was around about when Matrix was still relevant at that point.
Turn of the millennium,
Yeah, it was about, 2003 or something? Yeah, that song. I love that song, man. Absolutely brilliant. Electric Six.
Yeah.
But look, man, I don't know why Lawrence has not been called back. It seems very strange. They're bringing back Jada Pinkett Smith, they're bringing back Keanu Reeves, they're bringing back Carrie-Anne Moss. They're bringing all of the old gang back, and they're missing out one of the main guys in the original trilogy.
Yeah, he's not
Steve, for me, he's second only to Keanu in those movies. I absolutely adore Morpheus in the first movie. We just reviewed it not long ago.
Yep.
He is stupendous in it. He's the only guy that has faith in Neo being the one. He propels him into the position where he can actually take on the agents, he can take on this Matrix and save humanity. He's such an important character. And the only reason I can think that they have omitted him out of this movie is that they do have plans for more movies, and that he is going to be sort of like the Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens. They're trying to find the young Morpheus, change the events, and then we get Laurence Fishburne back in the second or third movies.
Yeah.
And he's going to have a real meaty role. Because look, man, they're getting on, man, in age, these characters, these actors. So
it's been nearly 20 years since the last film, John.
Yeah, so it makes no sense that they are older and Morpheus is younger. So there has to be something going on, time travel or something.
But it is a Matrix, so it messes with your mind anyway. So I'm sure it will come clear and make sense. On the 1st of April 2022 is that's what's the release slot is.
Jesus
at the moment.
Christ,
it could change.
Shooting this movie just now. 2 years.
Yeah, but it's what's that, a year and a half away.
Year and a half.
Yeah. So there's obviously still more to do. There's a lot more filming to do.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously post production after that as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm more looking forward to it, John, just to see what they're going to do rather than just see the old gang back, which I'm happy about, but I really want to see where they're going to take it now, because after the third one I didn't really see anywhere they could go, you know, other than back. Yeah,
Stephen, look, final thing I would say, they really have to be quite innovative with the story. She's saying that it's something that's completely different. It's true to the Matrix. It's going to pop. It's going to be great. They have to do something totally different, radical, to sort of differentiate from that god-awful final movie in the trilogy, because that brought it down. It ended in a sort of dull, sombre note. We need to get it back with a bang, and they need to have that sort of innovation as well, technically, because we've seen it all now. There's nowhere other than maybe a Jim Cameron movie or Jon Favreau where you're going to get that level of innovation you got in the original Matrix movie. So they really are going to have to do something incredible to get the fans back to this franchise. Be it story, character driven, anything, action, choreography, effects.
We'll find out in a year's half time, John. But we'll move on anyway to our next topic. It is DC related. It's Birds of Prey star would love to cross over with Zoe Kravitz Catwoman. Birds of Prey actor Journey Smollett, don't know if that's how you say it, who plays Black Canary, wants a crossover with Zoe Kravitz Catwoman, who will debut in The Batman. Birds of Prey actor Journey Smollett, who plays Black Canary, would love to team up with Zoe Kravitz Catwoman. With a full title of Birds of Prey, the movie was an exciting departure for the DC Extended Universe. It allowed Margot Robbie's Harley to step out from the Joker's shadow. Thought she did that in Suicide Squad anyway.
Having a laugh.
It also introduced a whole team of female superheroes, including Smollett's character the Huntress and Renee Montoya. It's currently the fourth highest grossing movie of 2020. That wouldn't be hard, with many aspects of the film praised by critics. However, due to the high budgets for superhero films,
smash with an $8 million Invisible Man movie.
This was seen as a disappointment, with Birds of Prey unable to break even now. I think it was on social media. Yes, it was Twitter, John, her official account, where I think someone called Cats and Bats and Cats, good name, how would you feel about having your Black Canary and Zoe Kravitz Catwoman team up? And she replied, I would probably die and go to heaven if that ever happened. She's a queen. Okay, the queen.
She's your queen to be.
Now, John, before I pass it over to you, you've not seen Birds of Prey. We've yet to see Zoe Kravitz's performance, obviously, in The Batman. So we can't really judge it on that, on performances and the chemistry that we think may or may not work between these two characters and the two actors, of course. But it does say here, Smollett has spoken about returning as Black Canary before, saying she would love to play the character again, possibly in a sequel. More recently, Smollett and her Lovecraft Country creator Misha Green, I think I'm saying her name differently every time I say it, floated the idea of a Black Canary TV show. Covering my tracks, John. From these comments, as well as her support of a Catwoman crossover, it's clear Smollett is open to any sort of return as Black Canary. It looks like that. Though little is known about Kravitz's take on Catwoman at this time, based on the comics and past portrayals, she would be the right fit with the Birds of Prey. Yeah, I would say so.
Stephen, there was talk of it.
Yeah, it's easy to imagine Catwoman popping by for a sequel after the Batman is released next year. Now, I know that the actor is pushing for a sequel. I don't know if that's going to happen, John. I don't think it's going to be in the same sort of template as that first movie. It might be some other thing. It could be this kind of crossover. That I think that would work better than try to repeat what they've already done. And possibly a Black Canary TV show. How would you feel about it, either of those two, John?
Stephen, from what I heard, and look, as you did say, it's very difficult for us to speak about this topic because neither of us have seen Birds of Prey. And Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman character, her performance hasn't been seen yet because the movie The Batman doesn't come out till next year. So
we can base it on characters.
No, but I can also base it on sort of buzz around the movie at the time, if there was buzz, because this movie flopped hard at the box office. I say that, it grossed $200 million, it had a $100 million budget, it was heavily promoted though. This movie was promoted about a year before it came out with little snippets of characters and whatnot.
And they changed the name halfway through the
exactly.
run as well.
Changed it to Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey, because fans just weren't connecting with that fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn title. So it barely broke even, if it even did break even. It made a loss, I would presume, with theatre cuts and whatnot. $100 million over the production budget ain't enough to make money. So I don't see how it's going to get another sequel. I just cannot for the life of me see how it's getting a sequel. But there was buzz around her performance, Johnny Smollett's performance as Black Canary. I seem to recall people were speaking highly about Margot Robbie. Obviously, it's Harley Quinn. You'd expect that. That's the sort of standout character in the movie. She was one of the sort of shining lights from the Suicide Squad from a very dark time in the sort of DCEU. She popped. That gave them a sort of hope that they could take that character and maybe make other individual characters like Wonder Woman, Aquaman pop equally well.
Yeah.
And then they've obviously built on a foundation since then. But I do recall hearing that Johnny Smollett's character, the performance was very good. So maybe sort of isolating her out of the movie, maybe we could see a TV show. I just don't see a sequel happening.
No.
And I do not see Matt Reeves' characters, his story, bleeding into any other movie. I don't see the Zoe Kravitz Catwoman character.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to ask you, John.
Yeah, transitioning over to another movie.
I was going to ask, it's been a long time since Halle Berry's Catwoman, which is universally panned, and rightly so if you've ever seen it. Do you think the studio would be brave enough to do another standalone film?
No. Stephen,
Catwoman,
we briefly spoke about it. I think I made a passing remark before we came on. Could it happen? I don't think it could. I don't think Catwoman is get enough gravitas. I don't think there's enough excitement from the fan base to go out and watch that movie. I just don't feel the character. She's an interesting character as a sort of side player, like what we got with Anne Hathaway in the Dark Knight trilogy. She's intriguing in that role as a sort of thorn in the side of Batman, sort of flip-flopping. Or maybe as a sort of ensemble piece with other interesting characters like Poison Ivy and Black Canary and Harley Quinn and whatnot.
Yeah,
she's intriguing in that way.
Do you think that's the reason?
Not as a standalone.
You think that's the reason that audiences can't really relate and take to these type of films, because it's dare I say, secondary characters forming a group. Basically,
it'd be the same if it was like Robin or Nightwing.
Yeah.
Or a Deathstroke movie.
Yeah.
You're taking a minor character in the sort of comic book terms. Catwoman's a major character, I'm not doing her down, but compared to Batman, Superman, Lex Luthor, Joker, minor character, and you try to push it as a sort of standalone movie, and unless you cast the absolute shit out of the movie and get in an amazing antagonist, and every single casting choice is correct, and you get some big blockbuster name that's going to bring bums to seats and eyeballs to the screen to watch it, it's just designed to fail because it's not an intriguing enough character. But look, man, maybe times will change, because we've seen it with Shazam. 20 years ago, people would have been saying Shazam isn't an interesting enough character. He's not got enough about him to have his own movie. They'd have probably said the same about Black Adam. They'd have probably said a Joker standalone movie without the Batman, or Batman in there. Disaster. Look what happened with Joaquin Phoenix. If you get the casting right, the script's there, right producers, right director on board, it could pop, man. It really is all down to various different moving parts.
Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz, man, I can't wait to see her performance. I can't wait to see her in this movie. Apparently she's very excited about it. She's been working her arse off, doing lots of weights and just cardio work and whatnot. A lot more than Robert Pattinson. So I'm getting the sense she's very passionate about this chance, this role. Will it happen, man? I don't know. I don't think it will. But look, Johnny Smollett, man, I need to watch the movie to form my own views on it. But apparently she was pretty good. Black Canary's an interesting character. Maybe a TV show. And maybe if Matt Reeves is feeling very generous and DC and Warner Brothers want to do a sort of strangely interconnected TV.
It's interesting you say that, John,
maybe.
about Matt Reeves, because I never really looked at it from that angle in regards to how protective he will be of his...
Yeah, he has a trilogy.
His characters. I don't like to say that because they're not his characters, but his characters in his film, I should say.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting, because if he's got bigger plans for them, I'm sure he spoke to the execs at Warner Brothers. What he would like to do. They're obviously going to wait until how this first film is received anyway. I
can't for the life of me see it failing.
I can't see it, John. I can't see it. But I think we'll just have to wait and see. But if he's got plans for these characters, then he's going to have to speak up, because if they're going to get used in other sort of films, which I don't think they will. I can't really see Catwoman doing a crossover and stuff like that.
Unless they cast a different version. And we see a sort of Michael Keaton Flash point thing where we have different realities.
Yeah.
Maybe we have a different version of Catwoman pop up. Maybe they take the one from Gotham. What was her name again? God, I forget her name. She's got a long name, Bianca something. Baikenova. I think it's Baikenova. She was okay in Gotham. Maybe just fling her in. A sort of Flinger in, that's very patronising.
You'll do it.
You can't get Zoe Kravitz, but you can have her, Baikonova, whatever her name is. Maybe they can have her in their Birds of Prey movie, but I don't think Johnny Smollett's got quite the enthusiasm to work with her. I'm going to search that name up, Stephen, because it's doing my napping.
Right, well, if you're going to do that, John, I'm going to move on because I've not got much more to say on the...
Cameron Baikondova. That was close.
Yeah, close enough. I still don't know who it is.
No cigar.
It's
the one that looks like Michelle Pfeiffer.
All right, yeah, I totally forgot about her. Yeah. Yeah, put her in. Yeah, why not?
A young Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay, we'll move on now. I forgot the name already. Original Dune star thinks the reboot should have been a TV show. Kyle McLaughlin, who starred in David Lynch, his critically panned 1984 version, says he thinks the new Dune movie should have been a TV show. Before I let you in, John, I'm just going to read this little bit here from Screen Rant. I think it's McLaughlin was actually talking to IndieWire that he thinks the story is too complicated, even for just 2 movies, and saying that it should have been a TV show instead. The actor, who went on to star in Twin Peaks for Lynch, says that a Game of Thrones style adaptation would have suited the material better. He added that due to the complexity of the characters, an ideal adaptation would allow you to spend more time with each character than a movie allows. You can read his full comments below. Well, I'm going to read the full comment. It's quite a big one, but I don't care.
This is what I do in sort of solo shows, Stephen, to pass the time.
Well, I'm not passing time here. This is actually very interesting.
Important. That's the sort of crux of the story, and I've not read the article yet.
I am assisting you then, John, in this matter.
You're saving my ass.
He says, I would lobby for 3 or more films because it has that kind of potential to really open up. In my imagination, I always thought it would be great to approach it like a Game of Thrones model, where you have seasons or at least a 10-part series or a 12-part series. You could really go from beginning to end. There's a mysticism about it, the novel that is difficult to capture on film. That combined with a straight ahead story and characters that are really well created, they're full people, and you want to spend time with each one of them, and that eats up your film time. It's a real puzzle. It's just so many elements that you have to bring together. I remember that when I first started reading the book back in the day, I would get to about page 50 or 60 and then have to return back to the very beginning just to put all the players in place.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
There are so many relationships that are important to understand, and to hold the stories of each of those so the audience can remember, it's just almost impossible. Now,
Stephen,
John,
do you understand now what I was saying when I read this book? Frank Herbert, I think it is. What it says, how difficult it was to read, because you've got so many characters coming in and out, so many locations, so much in mythology. Someone says you have to go to the end and read the table and contents and all of the sort of moving parts in this world, and then go back and immerse yourself. People slag Tolkien off for these sort of overly descriptive terms. I have never had an issue following that story, following the characters, locations, the mythology. He envelops you in the world and makes it such an easy process to read the book. I don't know what crack these people are on.
Yeah,
this was a god awful book to read, man. I hope the movie is better.
But you can see what McLaughlin's saying here, John.
Absolutely.
But don't get me wrong. If he was saying this 15, 20 years ago, I'd have said no chance. Don't do that. Don't make a television, a TV movie or whatever, and break it into 4 parts like they did with a lot of Stephen King stuff. Yeah. TV's changed since then. TV production is on par now with good film productions. I'm not going to say for the big blockbuster, certainly not, but it's certainly a higher quality than it was back in the day.
Not far off, Stephen. Mandalorian was 100 million.
Exactly, and the sort of talent you're pulling into television shows as well now, John. It's not TV actors. I don't think there's such a thing as a TV actor now. Well, there is people that don't actually transition to film, but what I mean is it's not sectioned off anymore. It's not seen as a second-class sort of platform for actors to perform on. Like it was, you're getting a lot of big star names now doing TV work, like say Ewan McGregor, etc. And when it comes to a story like this, John, it will be very interesting to see whether this is going to be 1 or 2 films. Kyle MacLachlan says if they're going down the route of film anyway, because they're obviously nearly done there, it would be best served as 3 or more films. So that might be the plan. That might be the plan anyway. We don't know that yet. But your description, obviously, Kyle MacLachlan's description of the novel,
I presume it's very good.
Makes people like myself understand how complex the characters, the storyline, timelines, relationships, that kind of thing is in this story. And sometimes you can't do that in one film, I'm afraid.
No. Stephen, look, I don't think this is going to be one film. I really don't. I think this is going to be multiple movies. I think we'll see maybe 2-3 movies. I don't know if Denis Villeneuve is going to take all of those movies and obviously direct every single one of them. But I think this is ripe for at least a trilogy because there are so many books. God, I think there's been spin-offs of the original trilogy. I think there may be like 12 books or something. You have the original Dune. I thought I was going in to read one book. Turns out there's about, as I says, a dozen books all set over a ridiculous time span. There's sort of warring and there's everything going on. So I can completely understand what he's saying. This would be right for a sort of HBO TV show. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. You've seen them do it with Game of Thrones. You've seen them do it with Chernobyl. You've seen them do it with Band of Brothers, The Pacific. They are the absolute masters of adapting things like this and just making it work. They get all the right filmmakers on, they get the right showrunners on, they cast perfectly. And it is, Stephen, I remember when we first started speaking about this, when it came out, that Dune was coming out, it broke that Dune was being made by Denis Villeneuve. I says, some part of me would like this to be a sort of TV show because there's so much depth to the world, to the mythology, to the characters, that it's almost spoilt when you try to condense it into a 2.5 hour movie. Sometimes it ruins the experience. I mean, there was a lot of people slagged off, obviously, Peter Jackson, what he did with The Lord of the Rings, making some creative decisions, taking out some scenes, huge sequences of the book. Tom Bombadil was left out, changed a couple of things. But as much as I love Tolkien, the transition from books to movies, it's a different experience. People connect with movies differently to what they do with novels. You read it, you're enveloped. You can go for longer sort of format. You can go off in a little tangent with a jolly red-faced guy in a yellow suit or a hat, singing and dancing alongside a river, Tom Bombadil. You can't put that in a movie. It's god-awful. So even though there is depth, I have faith that Denis Villeneuve has probably highlighted what can be kept and what can't be kept. Yeah. And he's condensed into a truly brilliant movie. This guy understands filmmaking like no one else, man. Well, outside of Nolan and perhaps a few other very sort of minority directors out there. He just knows how to make movies pop. We've seen it with Blade Runner, we've seen it with Arrival, we've seen it with what was the other one he done with Josh Brolin and your man Benicio del Toro. Can't believe I'm blanking it. Sicario, yeah. He is a stupendously talented director, man. So I've got absolute faith with this cast. Timothée Chalamet, Brolin's in there again, isn't he? Idris Elba, I think's in there.
Oscar Isaac, Zendaya, I believe. Unbelievable cast. I don't know if Idris Elba is in there. I may have made that up. I think I've convinced myself you've said that before, John.
It's Oscar Isaac, I'm sure.
Yeah. But
it's a stupendous cast, Stephen, and he's an amazing director, and he's adapting it, and that can be a positive as well as a negative. The sort of richness, the complexity of the story. If you've got that to adapt from, then there's not a lot of work to be done. If it's right there, and you're just transitioning it over and nitpicking what you want in. It's like that could be a real, John, make your job easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's about balance. You want to try and get as much of the story in as possible without bogging it down. You're right about, obviously, characters from Lord of the Rings would change certain the flow of the film as well. You've got to remember, a book is, you can put a book down, and pick it up again. I suppose you can do that with a film, but if you really want the experience of a film, it's all about flow, it's all about continuity, it's all about tone as well, and blending into the next sort of scene, if you like.
Absolutely.
So you've got to take that into consideration, and sometimes you have to make that heartbreaking decision to take bits out as well. Really depends what they're going to do with Dune and the movie version, whether or not it's going to cover everything or it's not going to cover everything. You're not going to please everyone anyway. No. You're going to get the die-hard readers out there that prefer the novel once they've seen the film, and they'll stay that way. They'll just be adamant that it's just not been adapted over to film. But that's the sort of problem that a lot of filmmakers have when they're taking adaptations from novels. It's how much material they really want to put in their film because it's a different medium. But I do get what he's Kyle MacLachlan's saying here. sometimes it works better as a series, and you can really invest each episode with different characters. I felt, although the episodes were short for The Mandalorian, we got to understand this character more than we would have if it was a 2-hour film, I think. And the worlds that he visited, the people that was in each episode as well. Every episode had a different sort of theme, had a different signals, different messages. The landscapes you were seeing as well. Try to do that all in the one film. You're going to end up like a Rise of Skywalker. Try to do everything. Yeah, everything just crammed into 2 hours doesn't work. You've seen it time and time again. I still want to see an up-to-date version of Stephen King's The Stand, but I don't want to see it in a film format. They did the TV movie thing back in the early 90s, where they split it into 4 parts. I think I've had it on I had VHS, I had it on DVD, I had it on Blu-ray. And it's got this sort of TV movie quality to it. There's some big names in there, Gary Sinise, Rob Lowe, etc., just to name a few, Molly Ringwald as well. But the quality, the budget, you can tell it's a low budget production. And it's a good story. It's good versus evil.
As you say, times have changed for TV.
Exactly.
The budgets are ridiculous. And even though it's a movie, Stephen, and Denis Villeneuve is obviously adapting it for a movie at this moment, that doesn't mean that in 10 years' time we can't also have a TV show, do the story differently, and maybe HBO will pick it up or something like that. I've got faith in Denis, though, getting it right. And if it does transition over to a TV show at some point, then that may tick the boxes for other people who are not happy with the movie format. It's different strokes for different folks, Stephen. It'll flow differently in a movie. That doesn't mean it's bad, good.
No.
It just means it's different. Like the Lord of the Rings. You can't... Stephen, would you have changed anything about any of those Lord of the Rings movies? They were 3 hours long, I think, every one of them.
Well, the extended ones, John, that came out.
And there wasn't a scene you would take out and change. You wouldn't add anything in. It'd become too boring. He got it right, the adaptation. It's all about the adaptation, picking the right moments out of the novel to put in, to keep the excitement, the thrills, the tone, the pacing, everything just right. And we've seen it with Sicario and all the other movies I mentioned. Villeneuve knows how to do it, man. So I think
we both agree as well, John. We don't think it's going to be one film for Dune.
No,
I think it's going to maybe be 2 or 3.
It'll be based on the success, but I think it'll pop. And I think we'll have multiple movies.
Yeah, I think so. But we'll move on, John, to our next topic. It's Jake Johnson hopes Peter B. Parker returns for Into the Spider-Verse 2. Jake Johnson reveals that he would love to return as Peter B. Parker in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2 and wonders about his character's future. In an interview with FanDome, Johnson was asked about the possibility of returning for Into the Spider-Verse 2. He made it clear he had a great time recording the movie and would definitely be up for playing Peter again. He said, "I would really hope so. I really love playing Peter B. Parker. I literally recorded that movie for, I think it was over 2 years. With most animation, you do 2 or 3 records and it's over. I lived with the character before anyone knew it was happening for so long. I loved the material. I got to record with Shamik a lot, who played Miles, and we got to bounce off each other. Shamik and I became buddies and we're still texting and in touch. I would love to see Peter and what happens to him. Did he and MJ get back together? Did he become a dad? Is he still a superhero? Is he a dad and a superhero? As a fan, because in terms of the inside, I'm not at the table making the decisions, but I would love to. I would love Peter to come back, he's saying. So you can understand that, John. He was a big part of that first movie. A great character as well. And as he said, he had a lot of fun time recording and developing a relationship with Shamik, who obviously played Miles Morales. So it's good to see. But he's not the decision maker.
No.
But all the possibilities he highlights there as well, John. It's the kind of things you do wonder after you watch a film like Into the Spider-Verse. What happens next? All these possibilities. Do you think we're going to see it?
Stephen, I think it's a possibility, because obviously it was heavily hinted that Spider-Gwen had found a way to communicate with Miles Morales in the movie, at the end of the movie, and that essentially set up the prospect of a Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales sort of movie in the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. So if they can form a channel from their sort of parallel universes, then why can't they jump into the Peter B. Parker universe and bring him back in. He was such a good character. Jake Johnson was just brilliant. He brought real humanity to the character. He was in a sort of depressive downward funk, much like Thor in Endgame. He was kind of fat, he'd lost his weight, confidence was gone. And when he bumped into this young guy who was just stepping into his journey to sort of the superhero life, he became the superhero. He became the mentor figure in sort of absence of that uncle figure. I think it was Mahershala Ali who voiced him, who also get outed as one of Kingpin's goons, these right-hand men, and he get killed. So he stepped in and became the sort of mentoring figure. He was a very important character. I really enjoyed it. He get played for laughs at points. There was poignancy in the character. I'd love to see him back very much with his verve back. His va-va-voom. That's an old term that I said back in the day. Je ne sais quoi was another one, incidentally. Don't go back and listen to those old audio shows. Don't do it to yourself. It was god awful. But I'd like to see him get back into his verve. Be slimmer. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being overweight and
fat Spider-Man.
There's nothing wrong with being overweight. I'm not going down that route and fat shaming people, but I think he'd be happier if he'd get back into his verve and he's back into the suit again.
What makes him happy?
Yeah, I'm sure the pasta and the lasagna and whatnot made him happy as well. Believe me, I had pasta tonight. I'm talking crap. But I don't eat as much as I normally do. I'm doing weight training, so I'd love to see him back. I'd love to see him bouncing off of Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales once again. They're going to have to hit this out the park to make this even remotely close to the first movie, let alone better than it, because for me it's the second best Spider-Man movie ever made. It was so unique. All the different animated techniques, John, 7 different movies, just incredible attention to detail.
To do that, it has to be down to good storytelling, not the visuals. I don't want them to top those visuals because I don't think they can without it becoming an actual live action film. I said this about Scanner Darkly.
Someone says they did.
But
I think the producer or something says they've bettered the visuals.
I don't know how they can do that without it looking like, is this animated, is it real? But then again, as I said this back in the early 2000s with Scanner Darkly. I thought that was so realistic, but what do I know? But it's right, storytelling's the next chapter is the most important thing. It's going to be very hard to replicate, but you're saying he invested 2 years in recording this character, so it shows you just even the voice work takes that long as well.
Because I think they have to get so many different versions of each line. Tom Hanks showed it in the Toy Story 4 behind the scenes featurettes. They have to get different intonations and saying it, and they go over it again and again and again, then they piece it all together, the best sort of takes.
Yeah, that's right,
It's the only other thing I would add that would maybe pour some water on his hopes, on the flames of hope that he's maybe got of coming back. That's a terrible analogy, I know, but I nearly had a mind meltdown there, not just a brain fart, a full-on meltdown, trying to find the correct word. The only thing that could maybe end his hopes is just him the danger of him overshadowing Miles Morales, because Miles Morales is going to step into his own sort of movie in this second one. First one, he's a youthful guy just stepping into the shoes of Spider-Man in the absence of Peter Parker in his universe. He had all these different mentoring figures helping him out. In the second one, he's got to be more confident, more assured, comfortable in the skin of Spider-Man. And if you bring in Peter B. Parker, it's kind of a raining on his parade. He's overshadowing him, so that's the only thing. They may just want to go for a Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales sort of romantic, perhaps, just mismatched buddy movie, I don't know.
There's always room for a third film, John.
Yeah, exactly.
So he could always come back to that, but I think you're right. I think they might continue that theme. We're only really getting to see the beginning of Miles Morales' story, and we all want to see where that takes us next anyway, and I think that will be the focus. But you're right, I think they've got to be very careful that they don't sort of lose track of what they're trying to achieve as well. But it's going to be a very hard task to try and top that first movie, but that's not to say it's not possible.
No,
it certainly is if they've got all these writers, animators as well. I can't remember how many animators they had in that first film.
128 or something.
128.
And then you've got Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I hope I said their names the right way around, but they're truly brilliant producers. They get the comedy just right. They know how to handle it. Kathleen Kennedy's an absolute lunatic for sacking them. Couldn't have possibly made a worse version of Solo. And not that Solo was terrible, but I'm sure theirs was slightly more unique, and they took the character off in a different direction.
Yeah, more traditional
Not going down
direction,
Star
they would
Wars
say.
route again.
But we'll move on anyway, John.
Every show.
I can't wait to see Into the Spider-Verse 2, or what it will officially be called when it does come out. But we'll move on anyway to new Wonder Woman 1984 trailer, officially rated before DC FanDome panel. I said we were only talking about one DC thing. I lied.
Liar!
Big fat liar. The second Wonder Woman 1984 trailer will initially expected to debut alongside the Inception re-release, but now it looks primed to arrive with DC FanDome. We predicted this last night.
Yes.
The trailer has officially been rated by the Quebec Ratings Board via Trailer Track,
Quebec.
indicating it's ready for release as expected. Wonder Woman 1984's
Wonder Woman.
trailer received a G rating, John, as most trailers do. Now, I'm
General
assuming this
audience.
is like our universal
Yes.
one we get over here in the UK. What's your take on this?
Stephen, I find it very interesting.
Really?
Yes. Very
Really
interesting.
interested, yeah.
Yes, I'm ending the show with interest, intrigue. It's general audience. Every trailer apparently gets rated general
Yeah, so it's
audience.
getting what we expected it to
It's
get.
getting exactly what we expected. I just can't wait to see the trailer. That's why I find it interesting, because
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see where they're going to go with this next trailer. She's been swinging off her lightning bolts and all sorts of other nonsense shenanigans. Will we see her reveal how she brought Steve back in the movie? We know it's via some stone at the...
Kids' book as well. It's
Yeah.
been revealed in, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
well, I always forget that goddamn museum she works at. It's in London or New
Yeah.
York, but she brings him back using that. So maybe we'll see some insight into how that happened in the trailer. But I've really enjoyed the promotional aspect of this movie. I think DC have got it absolutely bang on. You speak about how you better a first movie. Wonder Woman, arguably one of the best DC movies made to date
I would say so.
in the DCEU era.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's second only to Man of Steel, and then I'd rate maybe Aquaman and Shazam level pegging. I seen someone say on YouTube, did a video, why Aquaman's a terrible movie. I don't know what crack they're on, man.
No.
Maybe it's just an Amber Heard hater. As much as I can't go, I don't hate her. I don't know. You know, I mean,
No.
I prefer Johnny, and I believe him. But it wasn't a bad movie. It was not a bad movie. It was a balls to the wall, big bombastic action movie, and I really enjoy Jason Momoa. So I don't know why they were hating on that movie, but I'm going off on a tangent. This is how you better a first movie. By the looks of it, it looks as though it's better than the first movie, which is astonishing. It's colourful. It seems sort of authentic to the 1980s decade. We'll get Steve back again. I like the look of it, man. The villain looks as though it's went up a notch. I mean, I really like your man from Harry Potter that played.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is. I always forget his name. David Thewlis. I enjoy him as an actor, but Pedro Pascal, man, they're up to stake, Steve.
Yeah. But it does look like it's going to debut at FanDome, John. It does look like that way anyway, especially with the panel as well. They got a surprise guest apparently. I predict that's Linda Carter. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't think it's going to be Chris Pine. I think that's too predictable. I think
No, that's not a surprise. He's in
no,
the movie.
he's going to be there anyway. I think it's going to be maybe Linda Carter. I think maybe she's got a cameo or something like that in the 1984 film. I don't know, but I think we're going to see a few trailers this weekend. I think we're going to get some kind of early trailer for the Batman as well. We talked about that last night. I think it's going to be one of those trailer teasers. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, teaser
trailers.
trailer
Can't
teaser.
the other way around anyway. But I'm looking forward to it.
But
You're
this
right.
is
I think the whole promotion of this thing has been bang on the money. I like the tone as well that Patty Jenkins is going for in this film. It's such a contrast to the first film, which was very down to earth, gritty, World War drama. A lot of action as well.
Romantic
and we're getting
side point.
and we're getting the origins obviously of Wonder Woman and her people as well.
Really well handled.
It wasn't bogged down. It was they nailed it. You know, they actually nailed it. And I thought Gal Gadot was good in this film. I'm not going to say she was great. I think Chris Pine was very important.
I don't think I have to tell you my thoughts on Gal Gadot's performance.
But I think Chris Pine and his character and his performance was very important to that film to carry it as well.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to see where they go with this next.
Absolutely, Stephen. I can't add much more to it. I'm really excited to see the trailer, see if they're continuing their sort of home run of great trailers and the promotional build-up to this movie. Can't wait to see the movie as well. It should have been out by now, let's be honest. DC, get your shit together. Warner Brothers. Well, there you go. I've got the finale screen up. We're not done yet. I'll give my sort of summarising thoughts on that trailer. Get your shit together. It should have been out. Patty Jenkins had this movie in the can like a year ago. You've delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. I can't wait to see it. It'll come when it comes though.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the safest possible manner without giving people the Rona, as we like to call it here. Yeah, look, I'm done speaking about it, man. So what, we're going to pass it over to the perhaps people watching now, and they can share their thoughts down below on the array of topics we spoke about. What's your thoughts on Laurence Fishburne and why he's not coming back? He's pretty blunt. He's not been invited. He's going to go off and write some more plays, and he wishes them very well. That's why he's not in the movie, incidentally. So that's very intriguing. What's your thoughts on it? Do you think Laurence will be back at some point in a trilogy, a new Matrix trilogy? Do you think they're perhaps doing a prequel, we may get another cast, a younger actor casted? What's your thoughts on a potential Zoe Kravitz, Birds of Prey, Johnny Smollett sort of crossover? Do you think that's something that's possible? And you can perhaps comment down below about Dune as well. Do you think it should be a TV show instead of a movie? You can share your thoughts on any of the topics. You'll see them down below in the description, what your thoughts are on them. Down in the comment section, you can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. And you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see us prattling away about movie news, doing reaction videos, doing reviews. I'll be back tomorrow on my lonesome, incidentally, for movie news again. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.